Changepreneurs Podcast, where we bring conversations that spark change. I'm your host, Priyanka, a passionpreneur. Before I begin, I must admit, I'm a bit biased towards our guest today. Besides his great achievements, he's one of many inspiring Maharashtrians who have made it big. And the Maharashtrian in me is truly proud and honored to have him as guest on Changepreneurs Podcast. And I must tell you all that this episode is even more special because we are doing a first solo episode and in-person episode. Today's guest saw the cybersecurity wave coming before most of us knew what a virus was. He is at the helm of one of India's biggest digital defense forces, Heal. Joining us is Sanjay Katkar, co-founder and joint MD of Heal Technologies. From coding in a small lab to securing millions of devices, he has been shaping India's cyber future from day one. So let's get started. Welcome, Sanjay. It's so nice to meet you in person.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So let's start from the beginning, Sanjay. Let us tell our audience who you are as an individual and how did your journey start, Maybe we can mix from the beginning.
See, myself Sanjay Katkar. I am joint managing director and co-founder at Heal Technologies. If I have to tell more about myself, I'll say I start how it began. So I wrote my first computer program when I was 17. It was in basic language. After doing my 10th, I was just doing, computers were very new and I just thought of what's that and wanted to learn about that in a small 1-month course. That was where I interacted with computer for the first time. Then I wrote my first assembly program when I was in 12, which is when I was 18. And then I reverse engineered my first virus when I was 20. Viruses had started to enter everywhere actually. And from that day onwards, I'll say the day when I did my first virus reverse engineering, I started, it became my career itself. I'll say the whole career, I had been fighting viruses, fighting cyber threats. It's now more than 3.5 decades now.
That's wonderful. I think lot of people, lot of youth, they don't know what to be doing at the age of 17, 18 or 19, right? And you already had cracked a tool. So tell us more about what inspired you to fight viruses? Was there any particular incident that took place maybe in your college or anything that happened in your personal life that motivated you, to be so focused and, take heads on, challenge fighting the virus? Any backstory maybe?
Yeah, there's an interesting part I can share. See, when I was doing college, after passing 12th, I was planning to do electronics engineering because at my home, everything was about electronics. My elder brother, my dad used to repair radio, TV, all that. So I was keen towards going in that direction. But my elder brother told me that computer looks to be a new thing. I think you should try that. And so I took admission into BCS. And while I was doing BCS, we used to have practical once in a week. And I got introduced to computer languages like Pascal and Basic and all that. And while doing practicals, many times the lab used to be shut down. And the reason that was told was the computers are infected by virus. And that's where I had face off with virus in my life for the first time there. And so I used to miss practicals. And even Kailash had his workshop of computer maintenance. So I thought I'll go do practical there. And when I used to visit his office, I also saw that the computers over there were also infected by virus. And I very soon realized that this is a real big challenge. Everybody who is using computers is facing that. And in those days itself, we were taught reverse engineering debug in our college, which I thought let's implement that on a infected file. And that's how I reverse engineered my first virus when I was in college. And it was very fascinating for me because I could understand what the virus was doing and how it can be reverse engineered actually and also can be backtracked. That became my passion. And that's how all this happened. And that passion really gradually got converted into my career actually.
Absolutely wonderful. So, I'm a marketer all my life, right? So I'm curious to understand why you named it as Heal. It's a very resonating name to what your purpose, but any backstory for that as well? Like why Heal?
Yeah. In fact, many guys do get confused with this as some medical or health related thing.
Okay.
I never realized that, but how this name came up was when we solved this virus problem. It was all about early days of computers, so DOS was the operating system, and the antiviruses that at that time that were available were all MNCs,
Correct.
and they were quite slow. It used to take long time to scan an hard disk because PCs itself was slow, and many of these antiviruses that were available were just detecting the samples of the viruses, and they used to ask users to quarantine the file and restore from backup. That was the standard prompt that used to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized people were struggling with that as well. And I thought of like, why not my solution should clean that actually. And at the same time, it should be faster. And I worked over that a lot. And so while deciding the name, I thought the name should be like, it should inform the user what exactly it's doing. And the name itself should have its power. So Quick was for faster thing that it was doing, and Heal was cleaning as well. So I never thought that this will become a big name, but I gave that as a name, and everybody around like started liking it actually. Yeah.
I'm sure the thought process was put apt, I would say, because as you rightly said, it is quick, it is fast, and it also, heals your system, right?
Mhm.
So absolutely genius. I'm in awe with this name, Quick Heal. One thing, you talked about your brother, your brother recommended you from not doing
Not being electronics.
yeah, then computer science, if I'm not wrong.
Mhm.
So, what was his vision? Why computer science? Was it a trend then? Because I remember I'm also a Maharashtrian. I also come from a middle class family, and I remember back then when I was in school, the only option was computers,
Mhm.
right? So, is there any particular reason why he, advised you? Is he a visionary? Like he knew computers are going to become a very big, industry.
So if I think back now, I do think he was a visionary, and because what happened, we came from a very humble, lower middle class family, and as I said, he dropped out of school early when 9. He worked on things like repairing radio and helping my dad to earn more for us to help economically. And gradually, as he did that, he went in for enhance his career with learning and repairing of calculators. He took one opportunity in an organization where they had calculator repairing as a main thing. There, he learned repairing of machines that were pre-computer. In banks earlier, when computers were not there, there were machines like big machines which were semi-mechanical. The German-made machines, we call them as laser posting machines. They were as big as a coffee table. And those were the early computers, I would say. And he used to repair them. He learned them in the office. And then while he was repairing them, one day there was a strike in a bank, and he realized that staff has gone on strike, and he just tried to find out what is the reason. And the staff, as they were friendly with him, they told him that, see, there are new machines inside there in the glass room. They are the new machines, they call it as computers, and they are going to replace these machines. Your business is also going to be in problem if our jobs are in problem. And that he realized this is a change that is going to come and cannot be stopped. And that's when he must have thought that Sanjay should learn something about computers rather than electronics. And that's how he asked me to do computers actually.
That's so nice of him, and thanks to his vision back then, we have Quickly, and we have a visionary leader like you and him, who has made India proud. So I'll take a moment and I'll tell the listeners out there that, if you are on a path of doing something big, right, don't shift your focus, right? And one more question just popped up in my mind is, when I was reading about you and your brother online, I felt, I could think of another two brothers, similar background, was Ajit Tendulkar and Sachin Tendulkar, right?
Yes.
So, in today's age, right, where we hear that a lot of families, you know, uh, move apart, things don't work well within two brothers. And here we have live examples of you and your brother, right, who are working for more than 3 decades now together.
Right.
So how is the bond between you two? Because this is also very crucial,
Hmm.
considering like, India comes from a very, uh, I would say, a very strong background, right? Where we always had joint families, where we always had those values, coming down generations after generations, and we don't see that, happening anymore. So any piece of advice, for all the families out there, what is the good, how is the bonding between you two? Because that also will, motivate many others, right, who are listening to this podcast.
Yeah, I'll say this is a very, very good question and never been asked a lot of, but this has so much to it. I'll say, see, as I said, we come from a humble background. In our life, we grew up in a jail actually, and that life in jail is completely different, and it's like every day is a struggle.
Yeah.
And in that, we as a family, like we were five, my siblings. I had elder sister, means elder brother, and a younger sister, and my parents. So we five used to work as a team, and that if I look back to those days, it was a team fighting day to day struggle and try to make something for ourselves. That became a bond in us actually, and child life taught us a lot. I'll say a lot. I mean, say resilience, perseverance, even like doing things when we don't have too much at hand. So trying to make something that in whatever limited resource we have, or even looking at everybody struggling, because the people around them, everybody was struggling, and we only had one thing instilled in our mind, that hard work is the solution. Actually, hard work is something that you cannot avoid. And being together, even though we have differences, staying together, cooperating with each other, all these things actually became my values when we started this. It really helped. And throughout these 3 decades of my career, and we both are together. So the main reason is these values that I had with me actually. And I'll say we had faced a lot of situations where we felt like we should stop this because see, startup life is, especially bootstrap, is like filled with a lot of challenges. And we had tough days, we had arguments, we always fought. But at the end, we even thought of like, it's not like we should continue or not. But the point was, he said, you are educated, you should go, you should do something, you will get good job. And I realized, and many times I remember those words my mom used to tell, never leave your brother when you are in trouble.
Wow.
Awesome. And those things always reminded me that no, we should stay, we should give a try, and that really kept us going.
So the inspiration behind that is your mother.
Yeah, I can say.
Yeah. So let us also dwell a little bit about you as a person, right? So I see you're very fit. Is there a particular regime that you follow? Because now everybody, the youth, the mid-age, the old guys, everybody is, on the verge of fitness regime, right? So is there any particular, routine that you follow? Maybe that might just inspire,
Yeah, I mean, fitness took on to me when almost 2012. Before that, I was more focused into all this entrepreneurship and all that. But once we were successful, once things were on track, I realized health is also important. And that was again a different story altogether. When I was at the one conference internationally, I had been staying on a hotel. I got up early. I saw that there's a treadmill out there. I said, let's try. I started walking, and somebody came next to me on the next treadmill. And out of curiosity, I thought I should run better than him. I tried to do that for 5 minutes, and I was not able to run. I realized I'm like out of breath. And that person went on the more than half an hour after that. And I realized this is something serious. If I cannot run for more than 5 minutes, it's not good. And so after coming back, I took it seriously. And I'll say more than now 15 years, I have a strict regime of following these things like workout twice a day and two days a week cardio. So that's my regime. Even though I travel, even though I'm busy with something else, I make sure I complete that. It's 5 days a week. I have sure shot. This
Focus.
first 2 days is the rest there.
Okay. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Because considering the amount of work that you're driving day in, day out, and then finding time for your fitness is something that shows that you have dedication in you. And thanks to the guy who was
Yes, the point is, see, once you start doing that, first year you'll find it difficult. You'll find it, what am I doing? But once you start seeing the results, it becomes habit.
Right.
And gradually it becomes such a habit that you cannot avoid. I mean, once I miss that, I realize I'm missing something. I have to, even if I'm traveling, I'm on a trip, on a vacation, I get up early in the morning, I just go on walk or jog and just complete my 1 hour jog. I also do sightseeing, but that helps actually. Yeah.
Absolutely true. And in fact, I read this morning a blog from one of my ex-colleagues, right?
Mm-hmm.
He also said that, it's not luck. It's not luck that people, you see certain people are always happy.
Mm-hmm.
It is not luck, it is habit. And
Yeah.
the same point you covered just now, right? It is habit, it is discipline that keeps you going forever. Like, be it your personal goals, be it your professional goals. So I think this is point to be noted. Maybe if you guys are taking notes, please make a note that it is habit that keeps you going, right? So be focused and just get there. I just heard from someone from your team that you recently did a skydiving. Is that right?
So yeah, I'm very much into adventure sports actually. I've done scuba diving. I am a scuba diver. I am a certified scuba diver.
Wow.
I also do paragliding. I am a solo pilot as well.
Wow.
And recently, when my kids were like trying to tell me they want to learn skydiving, I said, why can't I also? So I joined them, and we three of us went to Dubai because they had a very nice school out there for skydiving. And I did that AFF school for accelerated flying actually, and it was a fun actually. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. I don't think maybe this angle of yours is known to the world out there.
So people,
But very, very, very interesting. I read somewhere that you're also a doctor, right? Is my understanding correct? I saw you read
Yeah.
Dr. Sanjay Katkar. So do you hold some research papers on your name, or what is the story behind
No,
that?
I am not an educated doctor. I am a master's in computer science, but I am an honorary doctor.
Yeah.
So this MIT University in Pune,
Wow.
they honored me with this honorary doctorate, looking at my careers,
That's
my contribution to cybersecurity.
lovely, lovely. So I think we'll quickly get into our next segment.
Mm-hmm.
So Sanjay, at Changepreneurs, we believe real impact comes from real solving real problems, right? So when Quick Heal began, do you remember the first client or the first project that you worked on and you helped the customer solve a real life changing problem?
Yeah, I do remember. Because see, for me, it was very important to have a real paying customer. And for Quick Heal, it took long time actually. Even though we released Quick Heal first version in 1995, we were not able to get many paid customers. At least for a couple of years, no customers. But since Kailash's maintenance work was out there, he was helping his customers with our antivirus that we developed to solve the virus problem. But not as a license software, we were not able to sell. But I think remembering around 1997 somewhere, we got Times of India as a customer who bought our product out there. They had an office in Camp, and they really trusted us because we were maintaining their computers, but then they realized our product was really helping them. So they got 5 licenses of Wiki for the computers that they had. And that was really like great news for me because one, the name was great. At the same time, they really trusted in us actually, and they solved problems for them as well. And that's how gradually we started getting some customers across Pune.
So your story started from Pune. So Pune is the main hub where you built this empire that we see today, right? So when you started like selling to your customers, did you have a very big team. I mean, when I say team, as in a sales team, to go out there and position Quick Heal as an enterprise, software, built for like antivirus, built for security. So, was it that way, or was it, hard work of two brothers knocking the doors? How did that happen? Like,
So, see, Kailash and me both are tech guys actually. We are not from business or marketing side.
correct.
But we have to learn all these things because we were like creating product is not the only thing in business. So selling is very important, and investing into more research of that product, we had to have funds. We were not having funds. We were not having a big team. Myself and Kailash and few developers I had hired,
Right.
but it was not going long. And like as soon as I used to hire more people, we were having short of paying salary to them, and at the same time, IT jobs were very lucrative out.
Yeah.
Were going offshore because that was the beginning of IT services sector in India, and a lot of big companies had opened shops there, started hiring people like anything, and we were having just like 60 to 100 graduates coming out every year in Pune, like in those years, because very few colleges were having those degrees. So any engineer or anything was like very difficult to hire. So it was like me and few people I could hire for internship or something like that. And selling was again more difficult. We tried to do national distributor, hire or appoint a national distributor, try to appoint dealers, but people were not ready to trust Indian products actually. They were more into, they don't believe that India can develop products. That was the case because there was no product out there that is most coming from India. And they used to sell Microsoft or Oracle or something like that. I tried a lot of, Kailash as well as me tried a lot of national distributor approach, but we even appointed who was interested, but we failed because he tried, but he never paid. And all these things used to happen in the business. But how we did was like we always learned of whatever failures we had, and in those early 5 years, we were hardly going out of Pune. We did a lot of different approaches, but the one approach that worked for us was since Kailash was into hardware maintenance, he had a lot of relations with all the hardware maintenance guys across Pune. And those organizations or companies used to just do repair and selling of hardware items like mouse, monitors, PCs. And computers were more into assembled computers, branded computers were not there at that time. So all these shops were selling cards, hardware, network cards, or PCs, or mouse, keyboard. We said that why don't you sell software? And for them it was a new thing. They said, like we haven't done that. It's difficult. And Kailash went down and met them and said, try for me, because they knew each other well.
Okay.
So they said, why not? Let's give a try. And we did put our software across all the maintenance guys, and they did a good job. They educated customers. We trained them to do that. They said they were able to sell few copies, and very soon they realized there's a good enough profit in that. Because margins in hardware were dropping, but this is something that they realized that it's a good thing to carry on, and people were really getting convinced with that. And we could, like in very, I'll say, a couple of years' time, we were across Pune, all the hardware vendors were selling Quick Heal, and Quick Heal had captured the market like anything in Pune. And we were like the name in antivirus at that time, because at the same time, viruses were also very complex, and many MNC products were struggling to solve that. And I was being into that day to day, meeting customers. I could realize what is the real challenge, and we would to change those things into our products. So even though we can never had all those features and bells and whistles which MNC product had, but my focus was on those core features that should work well. And the problems that people used to still face after having the MNC products, I focused on them. That created the differentiator for my product. And it really helped to create a name for Quick Heal. And people now remember Quick Heal for a lot of those differentiators.
So I think I remember I started my career in 2006 in IT sales. And I'm so glad to say that maybe not big time, but I also have sold Quick Hill products.
Nice to know.
Back in 2006, and I wish I had known you in person back then. I think then I would have gone all in, to position Quick Hill in the market. But what I can understand from this conversation about this particular question is that there were challenges. There's no doubt. There were failures. You took failures as learnings. On top of that, what I really liked about what you just mentioned is that you banked on your strength, right? Kailash, your brother, had a relationship with the hardware guys, and you banked on those relationships, and that worked really well. And one important aspect from a technology per se is that you focused on the gap.
Yes.
You identified the gap in the market, and then you tweak.
Yeah. So instead of going into feature comparison,
Right.
I never ran after like what feature that X product is having, I should have that. I focused on, in spite of having those features, what is the problem? Why customers are having pain? And there were a lot of those things.
Right.
And I could see, let's focus on that actually. And the very core features that the product should have, they were there. So it's making sure that they work robustly and reliably.
Yeah, I think it's great, for all the entrepreneurs who are starting their journey now. Like they can make notes and they can focus on the small points, right? The small steps makes a big difference. Maybe not immediately, you don't see results. It's not magic, right? You will also agree with me. So it's not magic. It's your hard work. It's those continuous learning, and then converting those learnings into opportunities will make a difference, right?
Yeah. So working with customers, that solves everything.
Right.
No matter how big is your competition, but if you are working with customers,
knowing your customers well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So we dwelled upon how you started getting into selling or marketing your own products. How do you balance? You're a tech guy, right? You're a techie, right? And your brother, so is your brother, right? So how do you balance between being a tech leader and a business leader? Is there any conscious steps that you take, right, or you've taken in the past to basically, I mean, especially in the early days, right? How did you manage?
So you rightly pointed, we both are techies, but my focus was more onto research and development, and thankfully Kailash had a complementary, I'll say, complementing strengths, where he was into repairing, at the same time building relations with the businesses and trying to give them services. So that helped. But at the same time, at the early stage of startup, I'll say you have to wear all the hats. You have to play different roles actually.
Yeah.
Not only developing on your own, also you have to become a team builder. You have to keep motivating your team. You also have to be an inspiration to them to make sure that they perform. And on the other hand, also while selling, I realized that we have to be good at communicating. So even though Kailash reached out to a lot of partners and tried to make them sell, but then I also realized that they started asking for brochures and something that is easy for customers to understand. And we tried hiring an agency. We realized hiring an agency was not working for us. One, it was costly, and the other is, no matter what I want to say, they have their own angle of putting it, their theory of way to communicate. But then I realized I have developed these features with certain thought in my mind, and I should be the one who should be able to communicate them. So after a while, we stopped agencies, and almost for 10 years after that, I'll say from 98 till 2008, all communications were designing in-house. So I worked on radio ads, I worked on box packaging, I worked on posters, and what should be communicated in the launch event. All those things I enjoyed, because that was a learning for me. I learned Photoshop just to make sure that I can create a brochure. I learned this Adobe Illustrator. I learned even Studio Max or Photo Studio, something that was named actually, and for smaller animation of box, all that. My team used to think are you going into filmmaking or what? I said, no, I have to be better communicator and I have to learn these tools. So one has to, I'll say, learn these things. If you are a founder, if you are a startup guy, you cannot be only good at tech or something like that. You have to learn these other aspects of storytelling, brand building, communicating, and learn those tools that are latest in that. Nowadays it's AI. Yes.
Nowadays it is AI. So rightly said, right? And then it becomes very difficult at the same time. It becomes a common messaging, right? If AI does it for you. So you have to have that personal touch, right?
Right.
I'm so glad to know this, right? You have to wear multiple hats. You have to learn, right? You didn't say that, okay, I am this, I am a quick hit. Come and, do this for me, right? You put in efforts to learn the tools too. So it's not a small thing, right?
And on the other hand, Kailash did handle things like managing people, managing HR department, managing finance,
Right.
accounts,
Right.
taxation. All these were like a lot of burden, but then he handled them actually and quite well. He learned, he improved over that. That's how things helped us actually.
That's so nice. That's so nice. Any personal values you think, has guided you and your brother in this entire entrepreneurship journey? Anything that personal values, right? That you
Yeah.
call out.
As I said. So we always had been like coming from this noble family. We had this thing about hard work and never give up. That was like instilled into us, and those are the, I'll say, learnings. At the same time, values that come from our parents was about like making sure don't run after money. Make sure what you are doing is something helping somebody else.
Right.
And those really guided us throughout our journey, while especially in the difficult decision making phases, I'd say.
So just a follow-up question when you brought up the difficult phases, right? Any time or any phase where you thought, "Ab chhod dete hain," you thought of giving it up. Were there any moments like that?
Many years. As I said, first 5 years was a big struggle. And in those 5 years, we had a lot of situations where the team was not working, means whoever worked with us left sometime after some time, or there were no payment for, means no arrangement for paying salary for next month or team actually. All these situations we had faced. And we had, during those situations, we had done a lot of contemplation whether we are doing the right thing, whether we should continue. All those situations we had gone through a lot actually. And I said those family values really helped us. And see, every time there was a different reason. One maybe like as I said, once Kailash said you should go have a good career out there, you can do good career. And I those words from my mom echoed me that never leave your brother when you are in tough days. And then sometimes, we decided, okay, next month salary is impossible. We even told our employees to that you should start looking for a new job. And at the same, in certain days, we got a news from some customers. Okay, there was this virus problem, and thank God we can solve it. I tried so many different products, and like you guys are great, doing amazing job. And that really again brought back focus to like what we were doing. I realized that it was my focus, even though it was virus and all, my main aim was to create something out of India, which is as good as MNCs or much better than that. And this kind of validation comes from customer. It really makes me happy. Okay, I could build something. And then I started thinking, let's continue. And like, instead of giving up, let's give it a more try. And every time something used to happen that made us continue on that action.
That's interesting and wonderful. And thanks, to your persistence and perseverance back then. We have so many, workforce who has not moved out of India and stayed with you to building something great. Right?
Later on, once we became a good brand and people realized that the research that we were doing is like state of the art to the level where even MNCs are doing the same, and people really wanted to work with us, and that really made me happy. Yes.
Any quick message for the youth out there who thinks that India mein kuch nahi hai, there is nothing in India, everything is outside. So any quick message that you would like to give it to the young crowd?
I'll say I'm surprised. I do come across people who say there's nothing here, but I'll say there's a lot here, and there is especially now because we are in the stage, India as a country is in the stage where things are changing, things are improving, and there is a lot to solve. There's a lot to do.
Right.
And when there's a lot to do, it's like real innovation happens here actually. Because things in developed countries, innovations are already happening. They are having different challenges. We are having different challenges. And I think it's the right time to work here, solve the real problems, and be a hero, I'll say. Yeah.
Wow. Be a hero, guys. Please make a note of that. Sanjay, we spoke about your journey, how it started. We spoke about the personal values, that you have it instilled in you, you follow day in, day out. We spoke about the tough times in your life, right? Also about the quick heal journey. Now let's try and understand what, according to you, is a change maker. Like, we have invited you because we think that you are a change maker already and we want your story to be told. But how do you see a change maker in your opinion? How do you like to define a change maker?
Yes. If you ask me personally, it means somebody who is bringing something that can make life better for somebody with your work, I say, especially with your work. And that's for me is a change maker actually. And that's something really comes when you try to understand what's the real problem, and then try to, it's not needed that it's a big invention or something.
Right.
Even a small thing or small change that creates a big impact and really solves things is something that is a change maker for me.
Small, but with a powerful impact, right?
Yeah.
So many a times what happens is like people don't focus on the struggles, right? That happens. Like people just see, okay, this man has made so big. I also want to be a rich person. Like, I'm just throwing an example. And especially why I want to cover this is I have met a lot of young people, right, around me, and I see them, they just want to become so big. Just they have started today and they want to become big, right? So I feel that, we need them to, to be educated. We need to understand there is a lot that goes behind the scenes that is not, seen to the world, right?
So I'll add to that because I have come across a lot of youngsters who think that they want to go do something and they end up chasing that is trending. What I'm saying is don't run after trends. Don't run after, say, money. Like the thing is, you have to look at something that is a real problem where you can make a difference, or something that you relate to yourself, or something you feel can solve yourself. And if you focus yourself in doing that, then it automatically success follows. Actually, then it becomes something that you enjoy. And once you enjoy something that you are doing, you will never you will never be able to you'll never get bogged down because of that or any challenge that you will face. Because once you are enjoying, you will always ignore the challenges and focus on your strengths, and it helps you, and the success will follow.
So be real and be your own trend setter rather than following the trend, right?
That's right.
Don't go with the where the herd goes. Stand out and drive something that you think will make a difference in someone's life, right? So while we are discussing all this, is there anybody that you follow or an inspiration, for yourself, right? For those days, like when you need some motivation to come to work or do a simple thing in life. So who is your inspiration, if I can forget that?
See, in early days, when we started, for me, my inspiration was my parents, I'd say, especially my mom. Right. And then even my elder brother. The values that they brought into me, instilled into me about like discipline and hard work. And really, it really helped me in those early days. And once I entered into this tech field, and as I started learning, understanding, researching more on about viruses and all that and technology, gradually the global leaders like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, I'll say they are my heroes in like those growing days later on.
Yeah.
It really impacted me. I've gone through their biographies a lot many times, and I really learned a lot from their lifestyle and their learnings as well.
Absolutely. I'm sure many can resonate. In fact, I too can, because a short stint in my career I worked for Microsoft. So I can understand, right? So maybe one small message out there, from Steve Jobs or from Bill Gates motivates you, it turn mountains for you, so
Right.
it's
Especially when reading about their early days, we can resonate with them and realize, okay, yeah, this is where we are actually. And so we can, if they can do it, why can't we? It's something that really helps us.
Sure. So now can you just, dwell upon where do you see, India in terms of cybersecurity today? Like we know that you are the pioneer when it comes to cybersecurity in India. Like you're the first company, doing this in India. So where do you see us at the moment in the cybersecurity space?
So you're right. It's a good question. See, when we started, those early days, cybersecurity was not known to normal people. It was just it's a word I'll say among the tech community.
Right.
And if you see now, cybersecurity is a common term actually. And I'm proud that we were able to play some role in this shift actually. And the cybersecurity awareness, the cybersecurity importance. And this has over these 3 decades, India has come along a long way. People have a better cybersecurity understanding. But if we compare ourselves to the global standards, we are way behind, I'll still say. We are on the good path, but we have to do a lot. We have to catch up a lot. Cybersecurity awareness is there, but call for action is not there. A lot of important decisions on cybersecurity at the national level as well as at the corporate levels are being taken as a compliance, I'll say, more of a compliance, but according to me, it should be taken as a risk, actually. Decision should be taken as a risk-solving decisions, actually. And if you look at cybersecurity and cyber threats as risk, your actions will be much, much bigger, actually. Because no matter, it's not only corporates that are at risk because of cyber threats, but India as a nation is also at risk because of cyber threats. Now you know that even wars, even though there are physical wars, but the war first starts on digital world. And cyber warfare is already out there. People are having cyber weapons, and we are seeing, and these are silent weapons. It's not like something that comes and devastates. It's like silently enter your network, study, espionage, steal data. We have to learn all these things faster and take faster decisions. And that's where I say, even though we are doing good, but there's a lot more to be done, especially looking at it as a risk problem, and we'll be at a better position. Yeah, it's very something to really think upon and take action, right? Even every corporate, I'll say, people looking at cybersecurity as a compliance, they're okay, I have antivirus and I have this. But rather than that, look at what is at risk if you're not securing rightly, and you will realize you need to do a lot to solve that actually. And then automatically you will invest into right tools, right mechanisms to protect your crown jewels actually. So, was there any incident, right? I mean, you see there are a lot of hackers out there. Has somebody, ever challenged you? From a hacker perspective, was there any incident ever in the Quick Heal journey where, somebody challenged you from being the number one cybersecurity brand in India? Was there any such situation, or how was it? See, we being into fighting cyber threats, this situation we had to face a lot of times, a lot, because see, we dismantle a lot of ecosystem of cyber threats. Especially there are gangs out there who are into cyber criminal activities and setting up their activities, like ransomware gangs are out there, espionage gangs, and many times what happens, we work a lot, certain virus while reverse engineering. And nowadays these threats are not like static, they are dynamic, they change a lot, they communicate with their server and change themselves so that they avoid detection. And once we come across certain communication, we call it as C2C, command and control communication. We try to go in there because if we can destroy CNC, then it's more bigger impact actually we can create. And we had done this a lot of time. And while doing that, the threat actors behind that, they really threaten us again. They send us mail, they send us like your servers will be hacked and all that. So then that's a part of our life, I'll say. We are used to that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
For somebody who doesn't know anything about virus, it's going to be like, a life-threatening situation. But the way you have, answered it with a smile shows your commitment towards cybersecurity and your, all game. Bring it on, something like that, right? So nowadays you see there are a lot of imposters. It's quite common, right? Somebody is just sending you a WhatsApp message, being your friend or a boss, right? So like for the common man out there, right? There are many senior citizens who doesn't understand anything about technology. It becomes very easy. Like we have seen lakhs of rupees taken out of from their bank account. So any piece of advice, for those senior citizens out there, or particularly to the citizens who doesn't know anything about technology and who can be victim of such imposters out there. Any piece of advice?
This is the right discussion, I'll say. A very important discussion. See, we have seen that digitization has captured us like anything.
Yeah.
We have to got digitized, and that's the way of life.
Right.
And it's not only enterprises, organizations, businesses, but even individual life, we are fully digitized.
Yes.
We are on social media, and our lives are on social media. And even if you are not there on social media, you are still connected because you have to use those services. Like, say, if you are using Amazon or you're using Zomato, Swiggy, anything that is digital,
Yeah.
and where you have to share your information,
Mhm.
and that's where the risk goes up actually. And you share something that is out there on servers, and if those servers get hacked, what? And no, it's no, I'll say no fault of yours, and even it's not even your control. If your social media account gets hacked, it's the problem of the social media platform.
Correct.
But it does happen, and once that gets hacked, all your information is in wrong hands, and that is happened quite time and again actually. And that information which is once in wrong hands, they start using that against you. The hackers, once they start using that information against you, is for their gains, personal gains. It's more now commercial gains, and that's where fraudsters are trying to use that. Now we have evolved as a digital users. We do use antivirus. We have protections out there, and these hackers know that what you are using, what protections you are also having. So now what they will try to do, and they do, is like they try to avoid detection through these tools by targeting the individuals. And how they target the individuals is they'll send a simple message, communicate you with as a social engineering tactics. They'll try to reach out to you as your friend or somebody using the information that you have already shared.
Correct.
You want to trip or you share everything on social media, and that information is used by hackers to convince you that they are somebody else. And you being like, hey, isko itna mark de," that means you get convinced and you start talking. And then once that happens, they send you something and they convince you to click on something and you get fooled.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll say it's now going more complex because of these tools like AI that are easily available, which were earlier not available.
Yeah.
Now AI is easily available to serve criminals as well. Now they are making use of these technologies to create more convincing things, effects or attacks, like a deepfake video or deepfake audio, which will make you think that it's coming from your friend or your relative, and you get fooled actually. So now I'll say it's not easy to get, or it's not easy to find whether this is a fake or genuine for a common man. It's not easy. You need to take help of tools.
Right.
Because they are using tools to fool you. You have to use tools to at least find out whether this is genuine or not, and making sure that you are alerted on time.
Right.
And so take your, I'll say, digital protection seriously.
Right.
Use right tools that are available there. Use right passwords. I'll say use strong passwords. Use multi-factor authentication wherever possible. Use all these cyber hygiene tactics, and you will be at least better off, I'll say. Not completely safe, but
somewhere there, at least, maybe you'll put a wall before they enter your.
But if you're completely saying nothing happens to me, मुझे कौन target करेगा, that way, then you are the
easy target.
Yeah, easy target.
Easy target. So I hope you have made a note of it. Take basic actions. Take basic, hygiene in terms of installing the right tools and being safe out there, right? And also be a little conscious before reacting. I would say respond. Have take in the information and then respond event.
So with this, that when I was talking all this, we
Yeah.
started with viruses. Our journey was with all B2C. Then we also entered into enterprise security. But in consumers, what we realize is now antivirus is not the only solution. These frauds and scams are everywhere.
Yeah.
And in last 3-4 years, we have learned that they are so sophisticated that people need tools for that. And that's why we also worked on a completely new category. For the first time, we have released an anti-fraud solution,
Wow.
which is out there globally first product that talks about fraud prevention for consumers.
Okay.
B2C. Fraud preventions are there out there for B2B, like banks or
Yeah.
even insurance guys and all that. But for normal consumers, something that needs to be protected from these high-tech threats.
So you're already there, right?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Because these fraudsters have reached your home, and definitely we need some tool or ammunition, to fight them. So thank you so much for bringing that for the common man out there, right? Now, moving forward, right? How do you want to leave your legacy behind, right? So any particular thought on that, right? You would like to be known as a innovator, a business leader. What is the legacy that you want to, leave behind, Sanjay?
I'd say I would like to be remembered as someone who stayed true to its mission, actually.
Wow.
Something like protect or serve, or I'd say bring in something that made everybody's life easy on the digital world, or safer, easy as well as safer on the digital world. Something that I'll say. And on the innovator, I'll say I'm like more than innovator. I'll say a leader who is like helping people to contribute towards this cause of saving people from digital threats.
That's wonderful. I think what I can say probably, having from the conversation that we have been having so far, is that what I can get a sense of, you're very clear-headed. You know what you want to do. You want to save, people from the digital threat, and I think that has remained constant throughout your life since you started your journey, right? So, which shows the focus approach that you have. You're true to that particular mission that you had taken 3 decades back, and then I think your passion into it has not bored you down, and which is why I would like to tell our listeners, right? Pick up something that is that you're passionate about. That will get you going for 3 decades. You can see from Sanjay's story, right? He hasn't stopped, and he's still going on, and he's already ready with what is out there, the threats that are out there, and he's already fighting them. So keep going, in that direction. So Sanjay, this section I would like to focus on the dreamers out there, right? There are dreamers like you who want to achieve big, right? So what is the one piece of advice that you would like to give them so that they become big as you one day,
Yes, in fact, I do come across a lot of youngsters who say they have big dreams.
Yeah.
And I always tell them one thing is like start small.
Right.
Think small first. Start small and start now, because there's never a perfect time. You should not be waiting for anything that after achieving this I'll do that. Start now. Start small is what I'll say for them.
Yeah.
And it's like every big idea, anything that is big now has started small actually. Everything has a small beginning. You just have to focus on what you can do at this stage, what at your stage, and you'll learn a lot over the period, as you do things, work on your idea, you'll learn, you'll pivot, but you have to start somewhere. That's very important. Many people don't start at all actually.
Yes.
Start that idea and they think that I would have done this and I would have done that.
Do you think is it because of the conditioning? Right? Like where I'm coming from. Most of the parents back then, like when we started our career, they kept telling us either you become a doctor or you become an engineer, or then the third field, like in 2000s, people used to say like computers pe focus karo. Right? Do you think is it because of that mindset? And one more thing I would just like to add to it is I remember like my grandmother when I switched first job. Like after 2 years in the first company, she's like, "Are you mad? How come you are leaving your first company, right?" Back then, we used to
spend life in one job.
One job and they retire from that company. So, do you think is it that mindset? Like there are many smart students out there things are changing, things have changed, but there are still, people who come from a very small background, humble background, they don't get that kind of support from their family. Do you think that is the reason?
See, I can tell you one thing is, I am lucky. My parents never give me any kind of advice, and that
Yeah.
was good for me because maybe the very reason is my parents are not educated. My mom was 4th standard pass, my dad was 7th standard pass. But it is a blessing in disguise because
Mhm.
whatever we did there for them, it was you're doing great actually. Continue. So
Correct.
not knowing what we were doing and what we could have done with my education, if my dad and mom would have like forced me to do some jobs, they would have like done it. But nothing like that. My elder brother was the one who was keeping guiding me whatever he learned from his learnings.
Yeah.
And that helped us a lot actually. And see, when there was a time when my classmates had done, passed out, gone out of India, done jobs in US, come back, had their own car and flats, and I'm still struggling with weekly, not even able to sell through the office. And once they started meeting my parents, I used to say, don't come home actually. Because they'll stop me to do what I love. They'll ask me to go. But that never happened. And my parents were like happy what we were doing actually. And you rightly pointed. And because I've seen a lot of my colleagues who had their career micromanaged by their parents. And that's really, now at this age, they are saying, I wanted to do this, but I couldn't because I was supposed to do engineering. I was supposed to do certain things. And that is something really, I'll say out there, don't micromanage. Let the kids enjoy what they do, right? And if just guide them the right path,
Yeah.
where they need help. But then nowadays everything is out there, so even like proper career guidance, there are a lot of websites out there, there are a lot of not information or podcast, I'll say,
Yeah.
out there which you can learn, and there are career paths that we have never thought of earlier actually, and now they are out there, so we should be evolving ourselves. Yeah. And making those decisions, leaving those decisions to kids.
That's really powerful message to all the parents out there. And I think a lot of today's generation, they are changing, or they have already changed. People are moving to homeschooling. People are moving to experiential learning and stuff like that. So, but one message remains constant is that don't micromanage your child or your kids. Let them choose their path. Let them be passionate. Let them be open to, explore and manage their own journey, right? Only then they'll be successful. It is thanks to parents like Sanjay's parent, who stood by him and never questioned, where he was heading towards. So just be like them and, let your kids prosper is what I would like to, tell to all the parents out there. Uh, we spoke about, I think, briefly about your entire journey. We talked about your personal interest. You also advise the parents out there right now. So finally, what is next for Sanjay? You have done so much, right? So, and what is it? What direction you're heading towards?
So
In the coming years?
yeah, at this stage, if I look back, I'll say I started with consumer product. I started with antivirus technology. I learned a lot. Now I have a lot of learnings.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I still feel I have a lot to learn. Because the thing is, see, even though I've done good in consumer antivirus and did form a company now, it's listed. And I realized, okay, there's a lot to do in enterprise front as well. And that's where our journey started 10 years back under the brand Seqrite, which we focus on enterprise security.
Mhm.
And when it comes to enterprise security, I think there's a lot to do because here it's not about just protecting the corporates from threats. It's about creating something that will protect your, I'll say, a national level contribution, wherein there are critical sectors. There are a lot of things where cyber attacks happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like glad I think I can contribute there, and I'm learning and I'm doing that.
That's wonderful.
One of the aspect I can tell you is that recently, 2 years back, when there was a Chandrayaan launch, actually,
Yeah.
ISRO really used our product for protecting their computers which were on this mission, and I was really glad I could contribute there because I realized the threats out there are different. There are people out there, different nations are making sure how we are not successful. Try to make sure how we are not successful. So they do it through silently doing cyber attacks, trying to make sure the mission doesn't successful. And these kind of attacks keep on happening. And I'm seeing, why can't my knowledge get used here? Why can't I contribute here to protect that actually? And that's where I'm like enjoying actually. I'm doing that.
Sanjay, so just a thought popped in my head while you were saying this. So you didn't stop till planet Earth. You have already stepped your foot on, moon. So that's really awesome, and that is very, very, very inspiring. One last question I'll ask, about the company name, what you just mentioned, which is focused on Seqrite, focusing on enterprise sector. How did you come up with that name? Again, this is so apt, right? Like the way you named Quick Hill, is there any thought process behind Seqrite?
This time I was not behind the man behind this name. We were already established as a Quick Hill when we planned to work on this.
Right.
And Quick Hill itself, we had started developing enterprise security products.
Right.
Why? Because the Quick Hill, which was antivirus product, which was being used by small businesses as well at that time.
Yeah.
We saw that these small businesses were growing and their cybersecurity needs were changing. They were not normal antivirus related needs. And I realized they were asking for features for that. And I thought these enterprise needs, and there's need a separate vertical itself. And that's where in 2016 we launched Seqrite. We hired an agency who said that, okay, they can come out with a name. They understood our vision. They understood what we wanted to do. And they said, you are doing the right thing in the right way. And that's why they said Seqrite based on security in the right fashion.
Wow. Very thoughtful of that to, suggesting this name. Again, it's very apt name too. And maybe, you may have to pass down the agency's number post this recording, because I would like to, understand where they're coming from and see if I can leverage them for my profession that I, work in. So I think thank you so much for taking out time for this, for doing this for us. One line, one word that you want to, close this session for our listeners out there.
Okay, I can only say to all the listeners that it's always good to have such podcast where I myself reflect onto the earlier journey, and throughout that one message myself I am now recalling is never give up and enjoy what you are doing. And I'll always say that no matter what idea you have, no matter what you're working on, and you just focus on that. Don't give up. No matter how many challenges you face, don't give up and enjoy what you are doing, and you will be there.
Thank you so much, Sanjay, once again. Thanks.
Thank you.
That was an eye-opening chat with Sanjay Katkar, isn't it? A true pioneer in India's cybersecurity journey. His insights remind us that staying secure starts with staying informed. Sanjay's story is proof that innovation isn't just about technology. It's about vision, resilience, and staying rooted in your values. To all the young dreamers out there, take that first step. Because as Sanjay showed us, you don't need to start big. You need to start. Thanks for tuning into the Changepreneurs Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it, follow us, and stay inspired. Until next time, keep daring, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep driving change. Thank you.